You can't deny the change of the season is upon us. There's a lovely, delicious sensation of sliding into autumn as we move from August to September. And I'm so looking forward to the season in full swing in October. It's my favourite time of the year, and I can't help but wanting to draw my energies in a little bit more. Whereas in August I was wanting to explore the blondes and the beach waves and the rather outgoing, louder styles, the more showy, glamorous styles. For my next piece I wanted something altogether quieter, more mysterious, deeper, in a much darker colour than what I'm accustomed to. Now, for those who are familiar with my tastes in hair, my favourite colour in the Jon Renau range has always really been the 8RH14. I think that's the hot cocoa, and it's my go-to cool medium brown. Well, this time I wanted to remain in the cool colour range, but I went for a number 4. And you know, I am so glad that I did, because I've been very curious to see what I would actually look like in the darker hair. And I think number 4 is going really quite dark. I chose the most beautiful bob that I could find. And there has been such a selection to choose from. Jon Renau does an amazing selection, as do the other hair companies. The reason I went for this is because it's very classic. It's a really good length, not so long that it's going to interfere with scarves and collars, but not so short as to really commit to a short style, although I'm sure in the future that's exactly what I'm going to do. However, for the time being, I selected Blair by Jon Renau in the colour number 4. Firstly, let's unveil and fully appreciate this mouth-watering, delectable, dark brown. The gloss on it complements the darkness of the hair very well. And in fact, I have seen women with quite dark hair with this kind of glossy hair strands that you see. It is a cool brown. There are glints of medium brown, a little bit of auburn, and in certain lights, a little bit of violet or blue that's coming off of the darker browns. However, overall, it just looks like a very realistic colour that you might see on a number of very lucky individuals. I was not disappointed with this colour. When I got it out of the box, I was really excited to try it. As you can see, it is overall one length at the back with very subtle layering feathered into it at the bottom. It is all one blunt length ultimately, and with more pronounced layers at the front and at the sides. Actually, the fringe is feathered, which does give a more modern nod to this classic style. But as you can see here on this piece, it kind of cascades quite nicely into the overall shape at the sides. This is a very basic cap, and there's a lot to be said for nice basic caps. The secret to making them work is making the permatease work and not having what I describe as the permatease of the bad old days of wig wearing. I do recall when I was in my very early 20s, I did every now and again come across a woman who was wearing a wig, okay, but the permatease was so front and top heavy that it looked like a beaver's nest on her head. And I often wondered, is it that they don't notice what they can see in the mirror? Is it a complete lack of awareness? Or is it that they simply didn't have many options in those days? I dare say that that is the case, and we are so lucky to have the options that we have now. So here she is. I really think that the dark colour of this style complements the shape of it and the length of it. The gloss that I mentioned earlier really comes into its own with the way this hair moves. When, you know, it's lovely when you tip your hair from one side to the other. You can really feel the weight of the hair and appreciate the way it moves. It looks so very natural. It looks like such a classic bob. But as you can see, it has a little bit more of a modern nod to it. The length I will put on the screen. It couldn't be more simple, easier to wear, and more comfortable. And I think that this style can go with so many of the autumn and winter fashions. I actually made this top. I knitted it. It's a cotton top in a very variegated yarn with a little bit of silver thread worked into it. Because I wanted to echo the simplicity, the simple lines, the classic shapes, the timeless quality of this neckline and this iconic hairstyle. You know, this is the sort of thing that Vidal Sassoon might actually promote. Now, I know that Vidal Sassoon loved his more asymmetric, more cutting edge, but quite frankly, I've often heard it said that any hairdresser worth their salt can be judged on their skill by how well they can cut a bobbed hairstyle. And I can really understand why that would be the case. It has to be very well cut, very well balanced. And it has to complement this type of hair very well, which it does. The strands are not too fine and they're not too thick. So I'm wearing this top with this piece, and in a little while I'm going to go down to the coast to visit a very old friend of mine. And I wonder whether I can take you with me. We're going to have dinner there and maybe a little drink, and we're going to discuss all things hair. Now, my friend has got lovely thick hair, always has had, whereas my hair has gradually thinned and thinned the older I got. But she has been privy to that, and she has watched the process all through my life ever since we were 8 together at school. So I'm very curious to hear how she's experienced my process, what her thoughts are on wig wearing, how she felt when I first started wearing a wig, and does she hold any preconceived notions or ideas about wig wearing. So I do hope that you enjoy our evening out. It's going to be another opportunity for us ladies to get together, have a good chat, and put the world to rights. And I'll see you soon. It's a lovely evening by the seaside. I have Blair on, and I'm going to go out to visit a friend who I've known since I was at school, and she's been with me through all the changes of life and all the different developments and phases that I've been through, this being the latest one. So here we go. Hi.
Bonjour. What are you doing?
Okay. How are you?
I'm alright.
Sorry, I'm filming.
How are you? Oh, it's going to be good. Is this going to be on YouTube?
Well, not necessarily this bit,
Oh, okay.
but I just wanted to start.
Well, don't mind us.
No. Don't worry, I won't.
Do you need to go to wardrobe or?
Well, I did tell you.
Oh, shall I go and put some makeup on?
I don't think you need it. It's going to be a cosy little chat.
Okay, that's fine.
Hi, Terry.
Hi.
Well, this is very nice. Haven't seen you for a long time. Well, let's raise a toast. Here's to your health.
Okay.
Oh,
Cheers.
cheers. You got.
So, Terry, what do you reckon to this?
I think it really suits the shape of your face. It looks very realistic. The colouring suits you. And if I didn't know you, I would say that was your real hair.
Really?
Yes.
What do you reckon to the top of it? Because there's no monofilament. There's nothing up
What does
there.
that mean?
Well, it's a sort of a layer of pale material, a pale fabric of some sort, that when you part the hair, it looks like your scalp.
Oh, right.
It's called monofilament.
Oh.
But there is no monofilament here.
Do I just... Yeah, I can see that. Okay, so maybe if you're out and about, maybe people might guess it's not a wig then.
That it is a wig.
That it is a wig, sorry. Yeah. But, I still
But
like
they'd
it.
have to be like this.
They would. They'd have to really look bloody close.
Because do you know something? A lot of people who have got really nice thick hair, you can't actually see their scalp sometimes.
No.
On the top, they might have really thick hair.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when it's curly.
Yeah.
Because I have curly hair, which can be quite wild. And because of the way it goes up, you probably wouldn't be able to
Wouldn't
see
be
my
able
scalp.
to see
No.
the scalp. I just want to say that when Teresa and I were young, teenagers, late teenagers, and then very early 20s, before we settled down and had children, we actually had pretty much the same hair, but it was a little bit like a party trick in a way, because you were the blonde one, I was the brunette one. You know, it's like having twins, but one of them comes out brunette and one of them comes out blonde, but they had exactly the same hair.
Oh, God.
But the destiny of our hair took completely different paths. You continued with your lovely thick hair that you were blessed with, and my hair basically just became finer and finer and finer,
Yeah.
until eventually I just didn't want to deal with it anymore.
No.
How was it from your point of view? Because I think this is something that people never... And by the way, you've got permission to say anything. There's nothing that you can say that's going to offend anybody or hurt anyone's feelings. And in fact, the more honest you can be, the better.
Okay.
Okay?
So I do remember you being at my parents' house, and we were both looking in the mirror, and I do remember thinking that your hair, I mean, it was after school, it was probably maybe early 20s maybe,
Yes.
maybe even a tiny bit before that, but I could see it slightly going there.
Right.
And never said anything.
You've always
I never
been-
wanted to hurt your feelings.
Do you know something? You've always been so kind about it.
Aww.
Honestly, I think you've got this way about you that makes the other person think that you haven't noticed. because you never let on at all,
Oh.
which is very sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, because in my previous video I was talking about when I was 14 I started having problems with my scalp. So it's
Oh, I
it's
didn't
like
know that.
Mhm. It's been a real long-standing, ongoing thing.
So what when you were 14, what was were you
So when I
itchy
was
or-
about 14, yeah, I developed an itchy, flaky scalp, just like it says on the adverts.
Oh.
And it carried on like that for some years. And then after a while, because it was untreated probably, it developed into something else. You know, and then the hair, because the skin wasn't healthy, of course the hair follicles aren't going to be healthy. And it started to thin and thin and thin. From quite an early age.
Wow, that is early, isn't it?
It is, but in those days I had the length and the thickness everywhere else
Yeah.
that it didn't matter if it was a bit fine at the front, I could disguise it.
Yeah.
But I think the problem being is that when you get to a place where you can't disguise it anymore, because the most difficult place to lose your hair is at the front of your head.
Yeah, of course.
Because there's nothing that you can put on there.
No.
And it's very difficult. It's very difficult. And I think that because I like to play around with my image and my clothes, I'm just interested in image, you know, clothing, from an artistic point of view. I just was ending up with just the same old shitty hair. No matter what I had on, I always had the same shitty hair.
But you never came across as having a complex about your hair.
But I did have a complex about it.
But you never told me.
Now, this is a really interesting point because I think that a lot of viewers would really understand this point. If there's something that's really worrying you or that you're really embarrassed about, you can't talk about it. It's too
What, to
embarrassing.
anybody?
It's too embarrassing.
To anybody?
Not at that young age.
No.
It's only now. Now I can sit down. I've got nothing left to lose. Going to be 53 in March.
But were you not able to talk to anybody?
Well, as I said in my previous video, female members of my family had the same problem.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right. I do remember your aunt, having quite thin
She was very wealthy, very glamorous, but the one thing she didn't have was good hair.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like hereditary.
Hereditary, it is hereditary. And I
Do you worry about the girls?
They seem to be okay so far.
Yeah.
Do you like these?
So did it all cause lots of problems then when you were like with your partner?
Well, no. It didn't cause problems because I still had men who found me attractive. I still had young men who wanted to be my boyfriend. It's not like I was a pariah
No.
and untouchable.
Mm. But, however, you could have had such low self-esteem that could have progressed into you thinking that everybody didn't find you attractive. But you didn't have that.
Well, let me tell you, I think so long as I was still at the stage that I could make the most of the rest of my hair, fluff it up, curl it up, it was all right. You know, I mean, lots of people have got their own unique hair growth pattern.
Yeah.
You know, some people have got finer hair at the front, whatever.
Yeah.
It only got really uncomfortable for me when I couldn't do that anymore. So I was just stuck with this, you know, this problem.
I suppose it's only happened in the last, 10 years? Or before?
Yeah, I
less?
think,
Really?
well, I was watching some very old videos that I had. Yeah. But I think now in perimenopause it's a lost cause. It's never going to come back.
No.
I know that. But you know, I still don't wear any hair to work. I don't wear hair necessarily in the house if I'm just cleaning or lounging around. So I'm kind of okay with it.
Yeah, you are.
But if for example, I wanted to dress up, I was coming to a party or something, I don't want to be all nicely dressed up and then just have this thin ponytail.
No, of course. Yeah.
If you could wear any style, any colour, what would you be attracted to?
I think definitely dark. Basically the opposite of what I've got. So basically brown, maybe a bit lighter than that. Straight. Maybe not too long. I mean, I just think maybe that one would probably be quite good, but maybe a bit lighter.
Yeah. It's amazing how many shades it comes in.
Yeah.
Different blondes.
Oh.
Also rooted colour, where the actual root is darker than the rest of the hair. That's another detail that makes it look quite realistic and quite natural.
I mean, I do remember going to a pub years ago when, like, just after I met Hayden, with a wig, probably a bit shorter than that, probably as dark as that, and me going in and hardly anybody recognised me, and I remember one of Hayden's friends coming up to him and saying, "Who's the girl? I thought you were with Terry."
Aww. And you know,
We were very amused.
It's amazing, isn't it? How it can change a person.
Oh yeah, like unrecognisable.
You know, I figure that seeing as I need helper hair in certain circumstances, why not have fun with it? And you should see how many wigs I've got at home now.
How many have you got?
I've lost count.
Do you have any blonde ones?
Do you know something? I really wanted to I bought a blonde one recently. I'll show you a photo. Let me go and get my phone.
Oh my god! Wow!
So I'm showing her the soft and subtle in Honey Pecan.
Bloody hell!
Can you believe it?
Yeah, I mean,
It's a real shock. When you put it on, you think, what the hell have I got on my head? This is dreadful.
really?
Yeah, because it's such a change. I'm not used to seeing this. I'm not used to seeing that.
Wow.
When because Steve, he doesn't know who he's living with anymore. He knows that there's a woman in the house often, but which one, he has no idea.
You've got different characters.
So, where did you get that dark wig from?
I think it was soon after I moved in with Hayden, because I moved in with him after 3 weeks of meeting him. It was just laying around the house he was living in.
Who did it belong to?
I have no idea. Because so many people have lived in the mill, haven't they? And, yeah.
And where did you get the courage to put it on and go out?
I think I just put it on and thought, bloody hell, I look alright. I'm going to go out in this. And I think Hayden was like,
I bet. Because I actually remember.
I think I had to keep the wig on that night.
Did you? Brilliant. But you know what we don't realise is we don't fully appreciate men's attitudes to different hair. You know, because when I decided I was going to buy my first one, I was wondering whether Steve was going to turn around and say, "This is really embarrassing, I don't really want you wearing that.
Wow.
Just be natural," you know. And I was kind of prepared to give up on it and just maybe wear it in private in my bedroom and just look at myself in the mirror. But when I showed it to him, I think I just must know very nice people, because he reminded me of you in many ways, is that he didn't break stride at all. He's never said anything derogatory, made me feel uncomfortable. He never made any comment about any of it. He just always looked at it and said, "Oh yeah, that looks very nice." And just assumed that I was perfectly all right with it and that I was going to be going out in it everywhere.
Yeah.
So that was Steve. But it's been quite interesting because I've started wearing hair to going out with friends And his friends aren't as open-minded as my friends. He's got much more conservative male friends. He's got
their reaction then?
Well, you see, I don't know whether they're just being polite or whatever, but I turn up, when they invite us, I just turn up in all different styles. And they just go, oh, you look lovely, and the conversation just moves on. So
do you wish they kind of talked about it more to make you feel more at ease?
Well, I would feel quite uncomfortable if everybody focused on it at the dinner table and wanted to talk about it at length.
I think people only ever do that when it's a really bad wig.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
You don't think they just ignore it even more?
Well, no, I mean, I went to a wedding once and a woman was wearing a wig, and I did feel sorry for her because I think she probably had just alopecia. But it was the worstest wig ever. It was just awful. It was just so...
Was it very matty?
Heavy and blunt.
Like a helmet?
Yeah, basically like a helmet.
But how on earth does it get to the stage where a woman will end up with a wig like that?
I know, and it's almost like she didn't know herself how bad it looked, otherwise she wouldn't have gone to a wedding with it on. Which makes you wonder, doesn't it?
You see, do you think that there is a stigma about wig wearing?
Only if it's bad. And it just doesn't look right.
Right.
And then it's not, but then that's same as if you'd had a bad haircut.
Or had very bad taste in fashion.
Exactly. You're still going to get people looking at you. But I think you going out like that, people aren't going to bat an eyelid.
I went up to London last weekend. I went to a gallery, an art gallery with a friend. And I went up on the train. I had my knitting on the train and I was wearing Blair. And I had the most wonderful time and nobody gave me a second glance.
No, they wouldn't.
Because when you go out in hair, you're looking to see what people's reactions are going to be. And there was nothing.
Nothing, yeah. It's good though.
Yeah. It's given me a real new lease of life, you know.
I think it has. I mean, you totally changed.
I would never wear this to work.
But why not? Would you want to wear it to work?
No.
Oh, okay. Why not?
Because I'd be preoccupied with it
Oh, okay.
when I just want to be relaxed.
Yeah, I guess so. But then you could have one that's just for work that you feel incredibly comfortable in. That's maybe almost quite similar to your natural hair.
And you always worry that people are going to laugh at you.
No, no one's going to laugh at you.
Well, you say that, but they might. I mean, let's just be really realistic. You know, how would you feel if you walked into work, you know, as of Monday, you had to be in a... you're going to be wearing a wig.
Yeah.
So many women do. And I just think they're very brave.
But maybe you have to be brave. Make that first step. It's going to make you feel good. I mean, I just don't think... They might think a couple of minutes about it, but I don't think they would give it much thought. I'll be really honest with you. I think that people have enough on their minds to worry about what your hair looks like.
Well, you seem very, very sure.
I think so.
But you know something? I mean, I've been married for 21 years in December. I really don't know, for example, if Steve was to leave me and I found that I had to go out dating again.
Yeah.
It would be really challenging.
It would be, yeah. It would probably be challenging anyway, let alone, you know what I mean? For somebody of our age, going out dating again.
Yes.
It's quite challenging in itself.
Yeah. Do you know what started me wearing wigs? I don't know whether you remember this incident. You, me, and Hayden in 2016 went out to an Indian restaurant in Hastings. And your friend came in and she was having chemotherapy.
Okay.
For breast cancer. She came in, beautifully dressed, but she had this long red curly,
Yes, I
and she had a
remember.
hat on as well.
Yeah, I mean, she went for it. That lady. I mean, people weren't. Yeah, thought it. Well, maybe because we're all more open and we're more
But I
accepting, maybe. But her hair has grown back and she still wears wigs.
Hey! I love to hear that. But I remember looking at her and it really captured my imagination. And I remember thinking, okay, I'm very sorry about her health crisis and I hope that she's recovers fully. But wow, she looks fantastic. And I thought, well, if she can do it, I'm going to look into doing it. Would you consider wearing a wig and going out again?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I would be totally up for that.
So listen, before we wrap up, I would love you to try this on.
Here's the lady herself. That's it. Turn your head to the light a little bit. Oh, look at that. How do you feel?
I need to look at myself.
Come on.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think it looks better without the glasses.
Terry, you just look fantastic. I'm sorry, but you really do. Look how great you look. Come on, let's go and show Haydn.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think?
I think it's good.
Does she look good?
Yeah.
Doesn't she? Don't you think even a little bit saucy?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be your lucky night, Teresa.
Good.
Just tell us, what do you think about women wearing wigs or any kind of hairpiece?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good because you could be like a different person every day, couldn't you? And you could have a whole range of wigs.
Sweetie, you're talking
And
to the right girl.
And you could be short, so you could have a little short bob. Or you could have like a really long one, couldn't you?
You could.
You know, like a kind of big hippie wig.
Yeah.
And
But
then,
do you find that there's anything strange or embarrassing about it?
no, I don't think so. What would be strange?
Well, wearing wigs may still hold some stigma. You remember from the 70s, those
Yeah.
dreadful pieces? Or the toupees, it's the men with the toupees, remember?
Yeah, well, back to front and stuff. And the guy that he had several wigs, and he'd put them on, and then like a week later he'd put the next one on, so it looked like his hair was growing. And then he'd say, "Oh, I've got to go and have a haircut," and then he'd go back to the first wig.
And did anybody notice?
Oh yeah, everyone.
Everybody knew.
Everybody knew what was going on, but he kept doing it. It might be an urban myth, though. Rather
Indeed.
an urban wig myth.
Then there are plenty of them, I'm sure.
But I don't know whether I would wear a wig personally. I might wear one for a special occasion, or for if it was a costume or something. But I don't know. I wouldn't wear. You wouldn't find me down the pub with a blonde bob. So, but I think it's more. I suppose it's a woman thing, because look, I probably don't need a wig. I've got a permanent wig anyway, so I'm not going to.
I thought you were wearing a wig tonight.
Yeah, I'm not going to go bald. So for me, wigs haven't really been upmost on my shopping list. So, but no, I think wigs are good, really, and I think perhaps it's something for women. Well, maybe for men. No, for women, because I suppose if a man suddenly changed his hair colour, it might be a bit more. Whereas for women, it's like a fashion thing,
Yes.
So they could go down the pub in a blonde wig one night, and maybe a ginger wig the next night, or whatever.
But do you think anybody would be wondering why that they were wearing it? Would they wonder why?
I think some people probably would, but or I mean, I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't recognise them because I'm like that. I can't recognise people if they're slightly different anyway. So maybe that's a good thing, you know.
Yeah.
So you could go somewhere kind of incognito.
It's a beautiful thing, I must say.
I mean, it's the whole world of wigs is, you know, it's multifaceted. It works on several levels, doesn't it?
Really does.
But I mean, if I did have a wig, what would you recommend for me?
Something definitely a nice big curly number.
Oh, what, like an afro? You know what, a big.
You know what? I just like your own natural.
Okay, so you don't recommend.
I
a
don't
wig.
recommend a wig at all, actually.
What about what about a powdered wig? But I suppose they're not. Well, perhaps they're coming back.
Well, this is it, you know, because I've talked a hell of a lot about all sorts of things on this channel, and it's amazing that they used to wear wigs to that extent. They used to have whole sailing boat, sailing boats and fruit and birds and everything in there.
They did, yeah, and I suppose, you know, people in the Navy used to wear wigs, didn't they?
Did they?
Yeah, didn't they, captains and things? Did they wear wigs? Or maybe they didn't.
Well, it depends how far back you go.
Yeah.
But you had to be wealthy to wear a wig, and the more flamboyant your wig was, the wealthier you were. And they were all made out of horsehair, I think.
You don't see those times coming back, though.
Do you know, the way the world is going, anything's possible.
Powdered wigs are us.
You wanted to sell something online. Well, thanks very much for your opinion.
That's all right.
You start.
Yeah, so you never know. You might get one for your birthday or something from Hayden.
I might do.
And I think this would be the perfect one for you, actually.
I would quite like a little short one.
A pixie one.
That was what I wore in the pub. It was the short pixie dark one. Yeah.
There's a lot of pixies out
I
there.
know.
And the pixie ones are cheaper than the longer ones.
I guess they would be because less hair.
Mm.
Mm.
It's always been a fantasy of mine to work in a wig shop. Well, when I say fantasy, that makes it sound a bit creepy. I don't mean it like that kind of fantasy, but I would love nothing more than to have women come into the seat and for me to help them choose.
Yeah. Is there places like that?
There are. I'm just so joyful about wearing wigs.
Mm.
I'm quite happy just reviewing them, but
Yeah.
it would be such a cool thing to do.
Mm.
Cool, exciting thing.
Definitely.
But thanks very much for the lovely dinner, and it was
Alright.
really nice catching up with
Yeah.
you. And thanks for being honest.
Yeah. It's okay.